Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying close attention to the NFL, you know that the NFC East is always a wild ride, always full of surprises. And right now, there's a fascinating story unfolding that could reshape the division's landscape. And at the center of this story is none other than the Washington Commanders, a team that's been quietly building something special, especially on the defensive front, but also facing some intriguing questions about their pass rush for the upcoming season. So, let's dive deep into what's happening, what it means for the Commanders, and why this story is one you shouldn't miss. First, let's set the scene. The Commanders, under the leadership of head coach Dan Quinn, are looking to bolster their pass rush for 2025. And it's no secret that Quinn has a reputation for crafting formidable defenses and maximizing the talent he has at his disposal. Now, when you think about pass rushers, especially in today's NFL where quarterback pressure can make or break a game, you immediately think about veterans like Von Miller and Jacob Martin. These two have been brought in to bring experience, leadership, and of course, pass rushing prowess. Von Miller, even at 36, remains a household name, known for his relentless pass rush skills and multiple Super Bowl victories, including his iconic moments with the Denver Broncos and Los Angeles Rams. His presence alone can elevate the entire defensive line, commanding double teams and creating opportunities for others to shine. Jacob Martin, meanwhile, at 29, has had moments of brilliance in his career, especially with his speed and explosiveness off the edge. But here's where the story gets interesting. Relying solely on these two veterans isn't necessarily a long-term solution, especially considering their age and the fact that both are on one-year deals. It's a smart move to bring in veterans who can make an immediate impact, but the Commanders and their front office are clearly aware that they need to develop youth and add depth to this vital position. That's where the draft comes into play, and Adam Peters, the team's general manager, made some strategic decisions last year that have left fans pondering. In the 6th round of this year's draft, Peters decided to pass on some intriguing edge rushers, players who could very well develop into stars, and instead selected UCLA linebacker Kyle Medrano, who made the roster and is expected to be a key backup and special teamer. Now, there's no doubt that Medrano could become a valuable player, but by doing so, Peters essentially ignored a significant hole on the edge rush, a position that is so crucial in today's NFL game. And here's the thing, when Medrano was drafted, there were still 3 very interesting edge rushers available on the board. None of them were can't-miss blue-chip prospects like Abdul Carter, who's considered a top talent. But the fact is, they had some red flags, which explains why they fell into the later rounds. One of them is Antwan Powell Ryland, who was picked just a few spots after Medrano. But here's the kicker, Powell Ryland didn't make the Eagles' roster. And that might seem like a failure at first glance, but let's dig a little deeper. The Eagles are known for their obsession with the offensive and defensive lines, especially in the draft, and they value these positions more than any other team in the league. Despite losing players like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams to free agency, they're constantly restocking their line through the draft, and they prefer to stash young players on the practice squad until they're ready to take on bigger roles. This is where the Washington Commanders have a real chance to capitalize, because Powell Ryland, despite not making the Eagles' final roster, is a player with a very impressive background. He played 3 years at Florida before transferring to Virginia Tech, where he really blossomed into a pass-rushing force. In his final 2 seasons with the Hokies, Powell Ryland racked up a staggering 25 sacks, the most of any FBS player during that time. That kind of production speaks volumes about his talent and potential. Standing at 6'3" and weighing 258 pounds, he has the size and explosiveness that NFL teams covet. Sure, his arms are on the shorter side, which might raise some eyebrows from a technical standpoint. But on the field, he used his size to his advantage, shooting gaps and making plays by exploiting slower interior linemen. He demonstrated a very sophisticated arsenal of pass-rushing moves in college, and that's something the Commanders could really benefit from, especially when the NFL is becoming more and more a game of matchups and technical prowess. Now, the big question is, can he adapt that college success to the NFL level? That's always the million-dollar question with these kinds of prospects. But honestly, in a team that's in real need of young pass rushers, Powell Ryland presents a pretty attractive gamble. The Commanders are currently sitting with some excess space on their roster, 3 quarterbacks and 7 linebackers, so there's room to develop him without immediate roster pressure. Plus, stealing a potential future starter or rotational player from a division rival like the Eagles, well, that's always a sweet bonus. And speaking of the current roster, Washington's situation with their edge rushers is quite telling. Javonte Jean-Baptiste is the only young edge player they currently have on their roster, and while he's promising, adding Powell Ryland makes perfect sense in the long run. This move could pay dividends not just in developing depth, but potentially in improving their pass rush for this season, especially if Powell Ryland can translate his college dominance into NFL success. The Commanders are in a position where they need to find those hidden gems, those players who can step up quickly and add to the pass rush rotation, especially considering the aging veterans they have brought in. And don't forget, the NFC East is a division that never sleeps. Every team is always looking to improve, to outsmart, and to outdraft their rivals. The Eagles, with their focus on the lines and their recent draft picks, are clearly aiming for sustained success. But the Commanders are quietly trying to level that playing field and maybe even jump ahead by smartly developing players like Powell Ryland. It's a chess game, and Washington is making strategic moves that could pay off big time down the line. What's really exciting about this story is that it's still unfolding. The NFL draft is always full of surprises, and the way the Commanders are approaching their roster building suggests they're willing to take some calculated risks in pursuit of long-term success. Their focus on developing young talent, especially at the edge rusher position, shows that they're serious about creating a sustainable, aggressive defense that can pressure quarterbacks like never before. And with Von Miller and Jacob Martin still in the mix, adding a young, high-upside player like Powell Ryland could be the missing piece that elevates their pass rush from good to elite. So, for all you Washington fans out there, this is an exciting time. The team is clearly making moves, shaping their roster for the future, and trying to find those hidden gems that can be game changers. The division is fierce, but with a smart strategy, a little bit of luck, and the right development, the Commanders could be on their way to a new chapter of dominance. Just remember, the NFL is unpredictable, and every move counts. The next few months will be crucial in seeing if this gamble on Powell Ryland and the emphasis on youth can turn into a winning formula. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this move? Do you believe Powell Ryland has what it takes to make an impact this season? Do you think the team's strategy of developing young players and relying on veterans like Von Miller and Jacob Martin will pay off? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Washington Commanders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news, because this story is far from over. The NFC East is heating up, and the Commanders are right in the middle of it, fighting hard and making strategic moves that could define their future. Thanks for being with us, and as always, go Washington!